Whew, there we go.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing, guys?
How are you doing? And how is everyone doing?
I did a coffee and it is water. Doesn't taste like coffee.
Hang on. It seems like there's so few people watching this right now. So
We're going to be a riot soon.
I
maybe talk about the Easter eggs, actually. What do you think? Did you follow the event?
Me?
Yes.
The event, yes. I minted some eggs. Do a Twitchy tides for early birds here. We can totally do this.
That's a nice idea.
You can already join. I set it up already. This time I actually remembered to do it. So yeah, you can already join with !play. exclamation mark play with an AI.
Hey,
So
legend.
come on,
Hey, sure. How are you doing?
we'll run that in like 5 minutes or so. So yeah, there's a lot to discuss. So yeah, we had this Easter thing that you organized, Santiago. We had Wax doing crazy things on the weekend. Then we have Bitcoin doing crazy things today. So
What did Max do in the weekend? What?
Wax went up all the way to 3 cents and then dropped to 2.4. But that was a massive rally that we saw, I think, on Saturday.
Oh my god! Who bought so much?
Oh my god! I didn't notice.
I didn't know about that. Interesting.
Look, we've got a little bit of feedback by Master Shen regarding the eggs. Not happy.
Okay, so let's talk. First of all, happy Easter, guys. I hope you had a great weekend.
First of all, that.
Sorry.
First of all, that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Happy
a great Easter.
Belated Easter.
That you get to spend with your family, eat a lot, and enjoy overall, which is what it is about. Second, the Easter egg events. So I don't know where to start. What we did is we released the eggs as a way to first to stress test the shop. It was extremely successful. As you can see, we mint over 10k eggs. Over 500 unique wallets participated in it. We originally planned for 3,000 blends. Given the huge demand from you guys, we ended up with 7k blends. A lot of people bought the eggs, even with the cooldowns, and it was overall great to stress test the test, to burn some resources. If we assume everyone used coal, which is not true, but let's say people said that, then close to 200 million materials were burned, which is amazing. Then, of course, the demand. You minted 10k eggs within 6 hours, which is a lot. And we didn't expect such an amazing participation from you guys. So it was similar to the Christmas bread. I thought I got clear of how many of you participated in these kind of events, but I still don't get it right. It seems that you are more eager to participate in events, which is good. So we also get to help you out with it. So you also ran out of RAM many times with the X. That's not true. We ran out of RAM one time. In Wombat. I'm not sure about that.
That should not be related in general.
Yeah. And what happened is that we ran out of RAM because you minted 10kx, and it was solved within 2 minutes. So, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a learning here. Next time we do anything like that, we should bump up the RAM.
I mean, it was fun because I checked and I was like, yeah, we have for 8k blend, so we are good. We clearly weren't good with 8k. So yeah, what we learned from it is that you guys are crazy. That we should tailor the events, taking into account that you will buy a lot of these eggs or you will participate a lot in these events, which is great, and I think we're blessed because of that. So I'll make my best for the next event to be better. Actually, I think it was pretty cool event, and a lot of people participated.
So now, obviously, what's going to happen with the remaining close to 3,000 eggs that people minted?
So
that would be my number one question.
That will be the number one question. So the eggs won't be forgotten. They have been removed from the shop. I think we still need to talk about what we have in mind for these new eggs. All in all. But yeah, we will have an additional use case for these 3K eggs.
Okay, something. So don't forget about them.
I won't forget about it. Don't worry.
So, okay, I didn't realize that we have a cooldown on the shop now.
Cooldown?
You mentioned some.
No, it
there
was
was
on
a
the blend.
cooldown. The
It was
cooldown
on the
was
blend.
okay.
So even though you could buy all the X you want, you had a cooldown on the blend.net.
Remaining X will have 5 MP. That's not unlikely.
Don't give me ideas.
This is Cizo Stoß has a nice idea there.
Make X as a color for colorless bombations. That's a nice idea.
You only just now realize that define a dollar is crazy. Nah, nobody is really crazy.
Let's see. Since I know the maths major here labs statistics, can you do me a kindness and see if all these people were truly active people? Seeing uploaded this season, it was said in a few places that quit and ban people might use resources to cash out and sell off the market. We can take a look at it, but yeah, I mean, still it is their resources. I'm not sure if when we ban people, they are able to spend their resources in the shop.
When they're banned, no. When they're shadow banned, they are.
Okay, that's the answer. What is this? Osterhazy to Nikolaus here.
Osterhase is there's a rabbit in German. Like, I don't know whether they have Osterhasen, like Easter rabbits everywhere. To be honest, but at least in Germany, that's a total thing. That there's this tale that you tell to kids that a rabbit comes and actually drops a few presents for the kids and stuff like that, and then they can basically run around and collect and find little presents, eggs that have been painted in like or colored, essentially, like all like things like that. I don't know. Is that is that a thing in Ecuador, like at all? Do you have
not
an
really.
Easter rabbit?
What we used to eat here is we eat fanesca, which is a dish. It's like a soup, but it has 12 types of grains that represent each of the apostles. So it's like a very heavy soup that has a lot of stuff in there. You even put some French fries in there, some tuna. So whenever you eat it, we usually say that you eat it and you have to stay like in the table for like 2 hours until you can get to stand up again of everything you eaten.
There's a soup that's made with French fries.
Yeah, we put French fries in it.
Oh my god. This is crazy. So look, it's German that moved to the US. I mean, they have these little chocolate rabbits in Portugal as well now. So yeah, apparently it's everywhere.
Sounds not so tasty. It's crazy delicious. It's crazy delicious. I love
it. Dude, come on. This is the soup with French fries.
Let me show you a picture.
Do it. Let's start that round of Twitchy Tides in the meantime. We've got 24 players, which is actually 25 players, which is actually quite cool for that early in the stream. So last chance to join !play with the AI, and we'll hand out five promo boxes and an extra one for Vince, because Vince seems to be the only one with a wombat skin.
Ecuadorian food is amazing. Yes, it is. We have in theory the second most tastiest soup, which is called encebollado.
So we're running this.
Man, Mr. Rolti, I have to get back to you. Sorry, I forgot.
I made it a little bit slower so that it's not over in a second with 25 players only. So That's the Easter event. Are you planning anything like that again, to do these kinds of things again?
I love to. Yeah, I mean, yes, I want to do it. What do you think, guys? Overall, did you enjoy it? Besides the huge demand and that the blend was sold out pretty quickly. I mean, we also burned 1 million wombat.
Yes. So, Mortizaramat.
Congrats.
Never heard that
That's
name before. So, congrats. GG's here. Sisustos, Define the Dollar, Master Shin, Prince Paradox. Mr. LT didn't make the cut. And then obviously we have Swim Dutch Vince. Okay, let me copy that over. So did you show the soup already? I want to see it as well. Just need to take care of this.
No, I was waiting for you to
Good.
to finish the two chutets.
That's finished. Okay, I'll close that. And we'll have another round later. Okay. Don't join yet. It's not play. Oh yes, it is.
So
okay, so what's the soup like?
Yes, it looks like this. Well, this one is not very nice looking, but it looks like this.
So why you're showing an example of a soup that's not nice looking?
Because it has high quality. The other ones are like pixels.
I love the hard-boiled egg in that, and it
Yeah, you also
you
also put that.
So that's a Polish thing as well. In Poland, you do that very often
So
as well.
you put some avocado. You have to put a lot of fried stuff. So if you don't put French fries, then you put this kind of
platanos,
platanitos. Platanitos, exactly. And yes, we have like all this guy. Actually, I just realized I don't know how to pronounce any of these grains. But there's a lot. This green one.
Peas.
Peas? Do you call it peas? Oh yeah, pea. True. You have a lot of them.
Peas are awesome. But okay, so you have a soup that is with peas, chilies, that looks like some kind of empanada down there.
That's an empanada as well, yes.
So some mozzarella cheese, or what is the white stuff?
This seems like cheese. I'm not sure. It depends.
So okay, every family has their own recipe.
Yeah, usually they kind of change it a little bit. For example, we don't put empanadas, we put French fries. But it has to be something fried.
Take off my pants and jacket says we do ham, lamb, salmon, and spinach pie. Okay.
That sounds tasty. Oh yeah. Have any traditions?
Like for us, I forgot again. There's this nice tradition in Poland actually. That's called Śmigus Dingus. So if there's any Polish here, this is really funny. And I don't know, I once read up on the on the origin of it. But it's essentially that you get sprinkled with water on Easter Monday. And this took, like, since social media and stuff, the people took it very, very seriously, and they would basically battle each other with like buckets of water and whatnot, like pouring cold water on other people and so on. So it's actually pretty funny. The whole Śmigus Dingus thing. That's I forgot about it again. I forgot about last year, and I forgot about it again this year.
Sounds nice. So you play with water.
Well, we had so much rain in Portugal here that nobody actually wanted to play with water. But today the sun is out and the rain is over, so maybe I'll just follow up on it with the kids
We do that over
someday.
on Carnival, but we take it to some degrees that I'm not comfortable playing with. We use water, but we also use stuff like achiote. I don't know if you know what it is. It's something yellow that it leaves your skin stained for like 2 days, and we also play with that. So you can come out of playing Carnival yellow or black. It depends on what people are messing you with. I think you should definitely do it again, but limited plans with limited plan per wallet. Yes. Overall, the goal was also to burn resources and materials. So
Because everybody has been complaining about there being too much coal, right? And so I like this post by somebody in Discord where they said like, oh, so I basically went from 1.5 million coal to zero
yes,
in a few minutes. So that was cool. Yeah, Dingus Day, Schmikus Dingus. It's like originally this. I don't know. It was like young guys basically pouring water over young girls or something like that. But it's very funny.
will there be more plans for X? No, we will find another thing. Sounds like a perfect day to play. What do you think?
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay.
So I mean, especially if Bitcoin can stay above the 90K right now, that would be very bullish, right? Because I personally anticipated that 90K will be a hard act to crack, a hard nut to crack. So let's see if we can stay over the 90K.
Dingusday.com. Nice.
I mean, this is really cool. I mean Buffalo. This sounds amazing, actually. So if they basically pour water at each other and stuff and do fights, that would be really funny.
Wait, where do you live, Mr. LT? New York? I heard that Will bought 100K USD in wax. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, of course they can do it. I don't know just why they do it in this way. Like, why they just don't DCA their rain in a token.
So that people see. Maybe that's on purpose, right?
Oh, maybe it's on purpose.
So maybe you just want people to see and drive the price up. It's just really interesting that 100K worth of wax would actually drive the price up, what?
30%?
30-40%.
Yes.
Right. And then obviously people started selling off again a little bit. That's totally normal. Always happens. But I think it's like for the wax community, it's really cool. So let's do this again, Mr. Whale or Miss Whale.
You know what's fun? I was a little bit mad when you told me this because I sold some wax the day before. So when you told me, it was like, yeah, of course someone bought it whenever I sold. I mean, it's obvious.
They were your exit liquidity.
I was like, yeah, sure. I bet you this happened. And exactly the day afterwards.
But I think it's really interesting that people would believe in wax at this stage so much that they would put in 100K. But tell us the next time you sell. So that means it's going to be the perfect counter indicator.
Yeah, I'm the local top indicator. I told you, hey guys, I'm buying this. It dips.
You're too late for KOL. You're not a good KOL. You know, there's these tools like Proto KOLs and these kinds of things where you can actually look up what the price action was based on people's tweets around about certain coins, and it's really hilarious how often they're actually the best indicator for the price going down.
So it was the same like Steve Aoki was for NFTs during the past run. Whenever Steve Aoki bought
Steve
something,
Aoki.
it was the top. Like everyone knew it was the top.
Mm-hmm. What price point on BTC are you looking for to launch Play? There isn't a hard criteria, right? It's more about the sentiment, like not a hard criteria in terms of Bitcoin price. I think 90K, for instance, can be pretty good if the overall sentiment is positive, right? So right now, it's just that now we're at 90K, so that's looking really strong compared to, well, let's say 2 weeks ago, right? So that's good. We're coming from the bottom, so people are will be much more inclined to actually invest in other things, right? And some people who, for instance, I don't know, bought ETH or Sol or whatever it is that you want to use to invest in other tokens, right? Now with Sol, if you bought the dip, I know somebody who bought Sol at 95, right? So they're up now, what, 50% already, more than 50%. It's crazy, right? Really solid. So I think it's more about kind of how are the other launches doing? How are people actually investing in things and an overall sentiment thing? But Bitcoin price definitely helps with this.
So he made me $100 on the Click Games from Solar University. That's great, man. I love to hear about that. From which one? Wayfinder? I mean, I love to hear about that.
Remember attending a Twitter space where Steve Aoki was in during the NFT era. They were trying to launch a music NFT project. There was a lot of stuff going on. There was also around NFT NYC 2020. When was the last time I went there? 2023, I believe. Yeah.
I remember a year ago or so you said you will be excited if it crossed 20K. What, Bitcoin?
$20K Bitcoin? That was not a year ago. A year ago we were healthily above 20K. So where were we on Bitcoin a year ago? Precisely.
There was so many utilities
66.
that was associated with NFTs that never really materialized. It all just went downhill when they found a cure for COVID. I mean, I still want to see some use cases for NFTs. Like, at least I don't know of any collection that treats their NFTs like a membership. And for clubs, whenever you have a membership for a club, you still have to pay a maintenance fee. That is what the club obtains to maintain everything, the infrastructure, the events, and so on. So I have not seen it. For example, imagine you own a DeGod and you own the DeGod, so you have the membership of the club, but you still have to pay monthly or every 3 months a maintenance fee for the DeGod to be effective and you getting to participate in the events and so on. That would be cool. That's how a club works.
Really?
Yes. I am sure a lot of people would pay for that.
So you have to hold an asset that you paid what $50,000 for, and then on top of that you need to pay a monthly fee.
Yes, similar to a club membership, or similar to buying an apartment. Like you pay the fee to maintain everything around you doing good. Of course, that's a physical stuff, but it works.
Yeah, I mean, I discussed that with one of our advisors today. Like NFTs, the whole NFT era lasted really long in retrospect, right? And there was a lot of stuff going on and new NFT projects, and all of that was really like the expectations were so high. It was really hard to keep up with those, and it was like, oh yeah, right, this is what you can do with this kind of technology. Oh yeah, let's try this, right? So there was a lot of weird stuff actually launching where people promise too much. It's just sad that so many people got burned on NFTs that nobody's touching them anymore, right? As a kind of membership of a club or whatever, right? Like the whole Bored Ape stuff or PFPs, whatnot. I mean, it's still a thing in a way, but it's a very niche thing, right? For rich crypto folks. That was about it. But yeah, it's. I would really love to see something about NFTs to come back. Like it doesn't have to be PFPs, but something cool like that would create a new wave of NFT adoption, right? That would be really cool. And I think what's going on right now, because I've been over the weekend, I've been looking around for some of the newly launched NFT collections on Wax. There's actually cool stuff going on Wax again. It's just that this is getting 1% or less of the attention that the stuff would be getting, would have gotten in 2021, 22. It's crazy. And it's also not about the, it's not really like people believe in making a lot of money with these things, but it's actually fascinating that like so much can change by just the market being different, right?
I agree. I mean, there are chances. A friend told me, I was telling him about borrow and lending, that it could get you 10% or so, and then he showed me like he was making like 10% per month on providing liquidity to Wax USDC, just like that. So there are chances. Of course, borrow and lending is not the same as providing liquidity for a pair, but there are opportunities and there are stuff that you can do. The thing is that people maybe are not looking for them, and it is not being talked a lot about.
And the opportunities in making 100x are not there.
Yes,
right? Because that's what was driving everything else. It's like, oh, you get in on this mint, so yeah, you want to be on the whitelist. Everybody's talking about this. Oh yeah, you get in on this mint. You mint your NFT for like $300, which is ridiculously expensive. But then it goes to 5 ETH, 10 ETH, 20, 50 ETH, right? So these kinds of crazy numbers. So I think that's we don't have that right now because there is no exit liquidity for these kinds of people, and there's just too many things out there as well, right? There's the old things and then there's the new things, and creating new things has become a lot easier, and it's really hard to distinguish yourselves. Now there was this wave of these big NFT projects, these big PFP NFT projects creating their tokens with Pudgy Penguins, basically. I mean, you told me about that, leading the race there. And then everybody else followed suit because there was money to be made for these companies. But it's, and this is it, right? At least 90% of the people who get into crypto are in for the profits. Totally true, right? And not just profits, quick profits, right? And it's just so crazy that the whole industry hasn't moved into something that's a little bit safer, right? So there, it's still so freaking easy to rug, right? So with the whole pump fund charade and so on, right? How easy it is to rug, and yes, it's become a little bit more difficult from a technical perspective, but it's still incredibly easy. And people are just basically running that as a business model, right? Basically automating new launches of tokens with a little bit of tooling. It's crazy.
Minton is telling us about 13 years ago, I used to own a semi-pro basketball league, very similar to what you're saying. That's amazing, man.
Wow. You owned a basketball league. That's so cool.
Oh, a league, not a team. Oh my god.
A league.
Oh, it's a league. Actually, it goes along with what we're experiencing during like this decade. Like people really want to feel like they own something or they are part of something bigger. That's why meme coins have been booming. Everything that represents identity has been like having their own trend and going up. It's part of that. For example, a League of Legends team. It's called Los Ratones. Um, they recently launched. The idea behind that is that it is completely community owned. The scrims and the practice, they all stream that, and it has been very, very popular. They went to the European finals. They won them with 400K viewers watching them. So it really shows that people really want to feel and be part of something. Now they are talking about really like buying their own team, their own spot in the championship series in Europe, but that is crazy expensive. That costs 20 million. So I'm not sure if they will manage to do that, but they are talking about that, and the community wants to help them do that.
Sorry, I had to sneeze. With
Thank you.
with the end of the rain, the allergy is coming back. This is interesting. If you go to crypto events in Africa, like Nigeria, you'd hear all the TO KOLs who take the mic giving testimonies of how crypto took them out of poverty 95% of the time, and 5% of the time talking about the product itself. I mean, I totally get it, right? So there was this whole narrative especially with OneCoin, right? I once heard that they actually sold like 1 billion of their scam tokens in Africa alone to people who basically didn't have the money, but there was this promise of, hey, if you collect money in your community, in your village, in your family, whatever, and you invest $100, $200 here, whatever, and then a few $1,000s, and then you can get rich and your community is going to be fine, right? These kinds of things, it's ridiculous. So obviously, the bigger the pressure, the easier it is to actually think this could be a thing, because you can see it happened elsewhere. And obviously, the people who go on stage and take the mic, those are the ones who may have made it, right? And then there's a lot who didn't, unfortunately. But I think that's what I find amazing about crypto, Web3, and also back in my early days on Steam, on the Steam blockchain, that was also a thing, right? Because it doesn't matter where in the world you are. That's so cool, right? And producing something has the same value everywhere, and that's really cool.
I want to also do a shout out to your village, because he has been submitting a tweet every day until play lunches. A drink. I'm going to drink one day until play lunches, and he's by day 28, I think so. So that's great. I love his tweets.
That's so cool. Will you adopt me, because Swim Dutch Wins is actually MJ, and we've had the debate enough. The playoffs are on, actually, so but the NBA playoffs are
Oh,
going.
who won yesterday? I saw that the Pistons were playing.
The Pistons won. The Pistons won their first game, the first playoff game in like 19 years or so.
They won. No way.
In New York. This is really crazy.
Oh my god.
And this is also interesting, because as a KOL, you don't need to know anything about the tech. It's not just the Nigerian KOLs who know nothing about the tech and crypto. It's most of the alleged KOLs, right? And there's so many people who are trying to stay completely anonymous. Nobody is supposed to know who they really are, because they wouldn't take them seriously, right? Because they're 19-year-olds in the basement somewhere, right? And just talking about things, not knowing what they're talking about. But in the end, it's crypto right now is much more about the culture than the tech, right? Especially and in layer ones, nobody cares about the tech right now. Nobody cares about TPS, about sharding, about all the cool technology that you can build. All the people care about is this an environment where I can be making money, right? So this is
That's interesting. I can agree. Like during Istanbul, like I met some amazing devs that work for some big companies, and they were like a little bit shy. They didn't want to make a lot of fuss, but they were there. They were enjoying, and they were very talented. So really, I was like, yeah, they should be talking about everything they're doing. But yeah, sometimes they don't.
But nobody cares, right?
Yes.
The tech, really, people don't care. What was the coin that scanned your iris? That was WorldCoin. The Pistons are cursed. I'm actually curious about that, right? The Pistons last season, I think they won 19 or 18 matches in the regular season. Now they were positive, had a positive thing going on, the positive record. So I think they can go places. And there's Dennis Schroeder playing for the Pistons now, so that's got to be good. He's a world champion.
Give me a second. I'm going to open the door for my dogs before they get me crazy inside.
My ex-girlfriend thinks, well, she's an ex-girlfriend, okay, thinks I'm an alcoholic now and my life is going bad because I post whiskey every day. I will play a lot soon. Maybe your village people, you should become a whiskey influencer. Maybe you should kind of advertise brands and kind of review and rate these whiskeys while doing that.
If not soon, I'm sure Wombat will pay for rehab.
Just make sure you drink good whiskey, not just the very, very cheap stuff.
He cannot drink good whiskey until player launches.
Okay. But now there's so many tariffs on good whiskey everywhere, right? Depending on where you are, it might be difficult to get really good stuff cheap.
My mother has been going crazy buying stuff on Temu and China. But crazy,
I totally get it.
A package arrives every day, I promise you.
I haven't tried it. My wife is like, I'm not buying on Temu because of the data. I'm not giving them my address.
I mean, yeah. My mother didn't care, and actually, I bought some shoes that were worth $20. They're pretty decent, like Like you
So
couldn't.
did you pay $20 or were they worth $20? That's still a difference.
I paid $20.
Yeah, so because even with Temu, you don't know, right? They might have been produced for $2.
That's very interesting. Temu is a crime. They use slaves to make stuff on Temu. That's something debatable because in most of the American brands, they actually get their stuff from China. So, for example, Apple have this case of some of these tabs and plans where they crafted their products. They actually had suicide nets in China, so their workers didn't commit suicide. So it depends up to the extent of what you want to believe, what you want to do with this information, if you care or do not care at all. That's interesting to debate because it is a fact that this happens.
There's a lot of bad shit happening, right? And most people just don't want to know about it. But yeah, I mean, Temu, I don't know, right? Whether that's just the real stuff that is overpriced otherwise, and this is basically the experience is the same, or if it's like even worse than everything else.
Temu is going crazy here. Nigerians are bad with measuring units, so they order cheap laptops and get a miniature size of laptop.
Oh god! So you get like this is a 13-inch laptop, but it ends up being a 13-centimeter laptop, and it's like this big.
Interesting. Ethically, I will not touch it. Yeah, I mean it's your decision. Of course, I respect whatever you say. What all chocolate?
All chocolate is made by child labor and abuse. Enjoy your next chocolate bar. Okay.
Yeah, it's more of up to what extent you want to care about it. Like if you do this for Temu, why don't you care about Apple doing the same or any other company doing the same? But if you follow this kind of way of thinking, then you will end up making your own clothes because then you realize that most of these big companies do this.
Yeah, there was like this big scandal with this German YouTube star a few years back, Finn Kliman, if anybody knows him, who was basically he was saying, "Hey, we have this supplier in Portugal who will be making masks, right? And they wanted to sell the masks super cheap, no margin, whatever, right? And so this is what the promise was. What it ended up being is these were masks produced in China, and they were selling them at 4 times the purchase price, right?
Oh my god.
So, and this guy was basically saying, "Hey, it's all cool, and we're solving all the problems, and so on." So, you never know, right? And I think this is actually also interesting with what Siso Stoss is saying with Timo. Sometimes you buy good things, sometimes you buy bad things, but my problem is that you never know, right? Even if you
It's like
buy
a
kind
religion.
of branded stuff, you don't know whether you're going to be getting quality stuff. That's my problem, and that's the most disappointing when you buy, oh yeah, this brand that you used to trust, right? And then you buy this again, and now it's total crap. And my mom was saying that oh, she bought this, and then the seams were like, she spent like 150 euros for a blazer or whatever, and then the seams were like totally off, right? Because I mean, yes, this stuff is also produced in China. It's just that typically they should have higher standards when it comes to quality, right? But they sometimes don't. And then I don't know. It's just stupid.
Interesting. I hear a Timo warehouse burned and estimated losses 56 for Timo.
Yeah, there was always
the warehouse was full.
that.
I try to
that
recycle tech when and where I can. That's awesome, man. I mean, if you can get to teach us some good practices, then I would love to hear about it.
maybe what's his name? Flip Burger. No, what's his name here? Can. Because he's in recycling. Okay, we had some questions. You get for what you get, what you pay for. So there's been a few questions from few minutes back. Your Village people has been asking, do you think a car racing game on Wax is cool? I personally, I appreciate everything. Right, there's so many cool ideas that you can actually do with NFTs and Web3. And definitely a car racing game. I mean, my kids, I've been saying that, right? My kids are playing, especially my older son loves playing Rocket League. And if all these things that you can have to customize your car, if these were NFTs, this would be amazing, right? That would be so cool. So car racing games, of course, if you can, if the cars are NFTs, you can upgrade them and stuff. Mega cool. For me, it was, what was this called? This rally thing?
No.
Nova Rally.
Oh,
Nova Rally. I don't know what happened to Nova Rally. It was not technically a racing game. But Vince has been asking about what do you guys think about the new direction of Volta chain? How is this new direction going to impact the current arrangement for Dungeon Master? Do you buy what Volta is selling? So EOS, now called Volta. I think it's good that there is a clear direction for where EOS is going, right? Because EOS has had that problem, like many other chains. It's not a singular problem, but if you're an EVM chain, then things are always easy because you can. It's not difficult to convince people to build on your chain, right? If you're an EVM compatible chain, because you basically, people just migrate their stuff over and it's done. With EOS, it's always been a bit more difficult because outside of Wax and Telos, there is no big EOS-based chains, right? So it's like, okay, who would build on this? So there's always been a struggle, right? And clearly the NFT ecosystem has been dead. There were no games. So at some point, EOS was, especially in like 2018, 2019, EOS was the contender blockchain to basically be the number one blockchain for gaming, right? It was amazing. But then not anymore, right? So then in 2020, during DeFi summer, I think EOS looked really good as well, again, right? because it was like what you could do on Ethereum. It just was 100 times cheaper, 200 times cheaper to actually use it. It was really cool. The user experience was really cool, but none of that actually materialized. So then you think like, okay, what's the big advantage that EOS, let's call it with its old name, EOS had over other chains? And this is a well-established token with a lot of liquidity everywhere, and that's basically it. So, and then the EOS EVM thing didn't work out. So then using EOS as a layer 2 for Bitcoin, that's a good idea actually, because it's efficient, right? And then anything related to banking, I think that it can be a really good idea. For us specifically, that's not a huge advantage, obviously, right? Because it's moving away from gaming further. So there's going to be less gaming content, less NFT content on EOS, because why would people do that, right?
As far as I understand, they have a strong presence in Asia, right?
True.
That's maybe why we don't get to know much stuff, but I will say if they're into banking or so, they are quite a lot of years behind stuff like Polygon or Chainlink on the US. On Asia might be another case that I don't know about.
That I can't judge, because it's going to really depend on what kind of ties they have with the individual partners and so on, right? In general, I think that being very focused with your layer 1 on what you want to provide and who you want to tailor your services for, that makes a lot of sense. And if that means that the EOS token price goes up, that's also that might be good for us, right? And so far it's been looking pretty decent, based on the news that have been coming out. But for Dungeon Master specifically, I think that's something that we discussed a few weeks ago. It was like, okay, what happens if we add more chains, different chains, right? Will people have the options to choose? Because we're currently not issuing more NFTs on EOS, right? Because it's simply too expensive, except for Wombat Prime, but that also will change at some point, right? Because it's just too expensive to mint NFTs on EOS by now. So I think overall, it's not having a massive impact, this whole rebrand thing, because the technology is still there and it's still going to be able to be used for whatever. But it's just a confirmation for us not to hope that things might turn around in terms of NFTs and gaming and so on EOS.
I would have loved if EOS and Wax actually wanted to work together, and the Antelope Coalition, the Antelope Foundation actually meant something. I always thought they had like a better chance to making out of this market by being together and working together rather than being enemies and fighting over nothing. Yeah. I remember when the bridge worked. Yeah, I remember too.
Maybe this was the beginning of the end.
The bridge. What happened with payout for the weekly payout? Okay, yeah, this seems to be the second time in a month that payout had a hiccup.
There was a hiccup?
I mean, it seems the payment has been delayed.
I wasn't aware of that.
We will take a look at it. I take off my pants and jacket. Is there a way to call you by any other name so I don't have to pronounce it?
So I take off my pants and jacket, and on this little sheet I said, it's the long names.
Yes.
EOS was wrecked when RAM prices went up. Yeah, that's
jacket.
There's I don't want to overshare here, but there was an interesting conversation that I had with Eve back then.
With who?
Like with Yves Larose from the
Oh.
CEO of the ENF, that essentially making RAM a resource that's not free to use or close to free to use because it needs to be subsidized by the block producers, right? And that if there's a resource that's worth something on the chain, that this can drive economic activity, right? So that was kind of the gist of it. And using, for instance, Ethereum as an example, right? ETH being like the Ethereum chain being expensive to use, and therefore there being a lot of economic activity around the ETH token because it's expensive, right? This was an obvious example that because that also showed that there's money to be made by providing resources there, right? But there's no automatic, like if just because there's a correlation doesn't mean there's a causality as well. So that hasn't driven up the EOS price. There was a similar argument, or maybe not similar, I don't want to compare, but there was another argument that was being made by back then Block One in 2019, right? When there was this DDoS attack on the EOS blockchain, basically, right? Where there was this airdrop that you could mine by sending a small portion of EOS to a smart contract, and then you would get back your EOS and a portion of tokens. And a lot of people started automating sending EOS to that smart contract to get back these tokens and dump these tokens. And for whatever reason, the token was worth something because people were buying it. And this rendered EOS unusable because there was so much usage of the EOS blockchain resources that it was basically like you couldn't sign any transactions anymore. And back then, Block One basically stepped up and said, "Oh, that's actually pretty good because we have so much usage of the EOS blockchain, and there's going to be more demand for EOS because people need to stake EOS for CPU, right?" And it's a very short term. It's a very short term kind of view on this because yes, the EOS price did go up, but then everybody started leaving the EOS blockchain and migrated over to Ethereum, then later Polygon or to Wax and stuff. So this was not a good thing.
Very interesting approach, actually.
But interestingly, your village people, right? ETH gas is now cheap. So you can use it cheaply, but also the ETH price is down. Is that
what do you think of this take? Like, are layer 2s damaging Ethereum?
Of course they are.
Why?
Okay, define damaging. Do you mean the ETH price or do you mean the Ethereum blockchain?
It depends what you think of success, because if you think success is tied to the price of a token, then yes, damaging will be damaging the price of the Ethereum.
Since we're in the market where 90 plus or 95% plus of the people are just chasing the money, then the success of any one ecosystem is directly tied to the success of the token price of the native token, right? So I think yes, of course they are, right? Because it's not just layer 2s, but it's in general alternatives to Ethereum, right? And if things are worth a lot, then people will spend a lot of gas. That's not a problem for them. That's why during the NFT bull in 21-22, everybody was minting NFTs on Ethereum, right? It would have been much cheaper to mint them on Polygon, but nobody wanted PFPs on Polygon. Everybody wanted PFPs on Ethereum. For whatever reason, people just thought it's better, right?
Yes.
So they were willing to spend $40 to pay for a mint that cost $100, and the $40 were just the fees. I think actually from a token price perspective, the more transactions you can settle outside of the Ethereum mainnet, now transactions have become really cheap. So ETH is inflationary again, right? ETH was deflationary at some point.
Yes. During the bear market, it was actually
Yeah.
deflationary.
And now it's inflationary again, so there's more ETH entering. A lot of people basically just staking, restaking, liquid staking, whatever. ETH, a lot of economic activity coming just from that, but nothing really relevant being settled on Ethereum anymore. That definitely diminishes the utility for the Ethereum token. And this is only going to be visible long term, right? I don't think that the majority of the price is driven by utility for Ethereum. The majority of the price is driven by speculation, just like on every other chain, right? Just like with Bitcoin. People aren't buying Bitcoin so that they can pay for the fees to transact on the Bitcoin blockchain, right? People are buying Bitcoin because they want to hold the asset as a store of value.
Very true. Nice approach.
So I think with Ethereum, that's also the main driver. It's just that if there's a lack of additional kind of tipping point, right? There's this kind of a marginal effect. So this is going to be visible long term. But if this kicks in and there is a strong belief in the market that ETH is actually inflationary, not deflationary anymore, and everybody knows about that, people will start selling it. Although this effect from a quantitative perspective would be super, super small.
Okay, true. I agree with you. I mean, I guess in the long term, it will become the settlement layer for all the layer 2s to just fly and do whatever they want.
But the use of ETH for these transactions will be marginal, right? So ETH will not be the main use for ETH will not be that people settle transactions from their layer 2s on the Ethereum main chain. The main use will be liquidity. A lot of liquidity is paired against ETH, right?
Yes.
And that's why it is valuable, or whatever it is, right? It's like with Sol. Sol, there's so much Sol stuck in all these liquidity pools from fair launch tokens on Pump Fund, right? Or nowadays it's also on Base, for instance, and that's really cool. It's especially cool for Base because it's a cool business model to have all the wrapped ETH on Base. This will never go out, right? So unless all tokens dump to zero. So I think that the more, for instance, tokens would launch on Wax, this would also have a really cool effect.
So
what's
it
this?
seems we're 91K.
There's always stuff happening when we're streaming, right? There's
Yes.
always either it's going down like crazy or up like crazy.
Nice. Do you think we can hold the 91K?
I'm very skeptical right now, to be honest, because it was too easy. The 90 were too easy to crack. So I don't know. It's really tough. I think we might see a dramatic pullback. This might be a kind of a fake out, and then we might crash down to what, 83, 84, 85, something like that again, and liquidate a lot of longs now, because in this area between 90 and 91, so many shorts were liquidated. I bet there's going to be a news tomorrow that $3 billion of shorts were liquidated through short squeezes in this today, basically, because nobody expected this. There's no news, right? There's nothing coming out. It's just basically a technical reaction to what happened yesterday.
What happened yesterday?
Nothing.
Oh, I mean, something good happened.
There was basically Trump threatening Powell, right? Calling him, what did he say? Total loser. I think it was a total loser or something like that, right? So Trump once basically wanted to get rid of Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed, and that sparked a lot of anxiety in the markets. So basically, the U.S. stock markets tanked 2 or 3%, but Bitcoin actually went up together with gold, right? So there probably was a technical reaction for the stock markets. I don't know what the stock markets the U.S. stock markets look like today. But maybe it's just this, Master Shen. Bitcoin is Jesus that just rose from the dead. over Easter.
Yeah, I think.
And dude, and we had the Pope died yesterday, right? I mean, this is also another wild news. It's like, and then there were these people who came out and said, "So rest in peace, Pope Francis here." But there were these people basically coming up with this meme that, "Hey, JD Vance visited the Pope on Sunday, and on Monday he was dead." Right? So is that a coincidence? So, like, whatever. This.
True.
So,
Yeah, I will short here
you will short where?
right now.
You would short right now.
Yeah, I will short a little bit.
You'll get wrecked for sure.
So I mean, doing some fast stuff. Wait.
So
Yeah, maybe at
a 30x. You can do a 30x, I believe.
maybe
don't
at
do a
93K. I'll short some.
Don't, like, if you short now, you should keep your margin so you can have it go all the way up to 95.
Yes, could be. What is the? Yeah, could be. Yes, I mean there's room for 95. Depends.
Was there any news about GameStop recently? Because they had the resolution that they would add it to their balance sheet, but are they buying?
I'm not
So I haven't
sure.
heard them. I haven't heard anything about them actually buying. I mean, Michael Saylor keeps buying.
Webby agrees with me. I will short by a little higher first. Yeah, 95 seems like a good moment to short.
If we reach 95, 93, like, you'll have a little bit of margin, right?
How much did you invest? Nothing. I was just telling what I will do. I haven't done anything yet.
Said if 50x short trigger price 92k. If you go for a 50x at 92, you'll get liquidated at what? You'll get liquidated at 94. 500. No, I wouldn't. At 92, I would probably do a 40x only. So yeah, there's Bitcoin going crazy right now for whatever reason.
That's good though. Do you think
It's
we
very
will
good.
reach a new all-time high?
We will definitely will this year. I'm totally convinced about this. There's this Raoul Pal thing about the global M2 money supply actually preceding Bitcoin price movement by 3 months.
So let's take
right?
advantage that we have the chart here. So this that happened over here, 62k, and we had the retracement. We had a little rally, went back, and then reached all-time high again. So you think it will be repeated? Is history repeating itself? We reach all-time high, we have double peaks, then we had a major setback, and then we are set to have another all-time high.
Is that some kind of a reverse double head and shoulders pattern that you showed there? I don't know. Yes, I think that's totally going to happen. Not because of that. I don't like TA that much, to be honest. The only thing that I like about technical analysis is when it can be explained with psychological behavior, right, with psychological patterns. So, for instance, typical resistances and supports are very, very strong, right? Because from a psychological perspective, they make sense. People who bought in at 100 will buy again at 100, right? Or people who sold at 100 would sell again at 100, or something like that, right? So these kinds of things. And then there's these trend panels, patterns. I think this trend line that you have in there is not great, right? I don't know what this is.
I don't know what happened with the Fibonacci. I really didn't do it. Maybe it should be like this.
Yeah, that's probably more like it. But also, these peaks are so far apart, right, that from a psychological perspective, people will not pay attention to this as much, right? Yeah, I don't know.
So,
I
for
always
example, let's see, last bull market, we had a 50% retracement. Actually, it was a lot. This time we had a 30% retracement, but it
so
feels
maybe the
similar.
bottom is not in.
No, please don't tell that. Don't tell me that.
No, I didn't say that.
You could say that Bitcoin has become stronger. Like the retracement this time wasn't 50%, but actually 30%.
But it's also normal because the market grows bigger, right? So the swings are not as wild anymore. The swings down and the swings up also. So, yeah.
What do you think, Chad? All-time high 150K by July.
I would say that's totally possible. It really, again, to an extent, like what's happening right now is despite Trump, right? This is not because of Trump. This is despite Trump, basically. But in case there was really something like the whole Bitcoin bill by Senator Loomis happening, right? That now the U.S. use tariffs, income from tariffs, or they sell some of the gold from Fort Knox to buy Bitcoin, whatever it is, something like this, right? That they really start acquiring Bitcoin. And if you like, there was an announcement by the Chinese government that they acquired another 6 tons, 4 tons, something like that of gold in March, right? So with an asset like gold, you can say stuff like that. But with Bitcoin, you can't, right? You can't tell people that you're actively buying Bitcoin unless you want it to go up. But if you want to buy a lot of it, then you shouldn't tell people that you're planning to buy a lot of it, because people will front run you with the price and it's going to get incredibly expensive for you, right? So unless you have to tell people that you're buying more, like for instance, Strategy are doing, because they're a publicly listed company, they need to publish this, right? But if you're the Chinese government or your privately held company or whatever, you want to acquire a lot of Bitcoin, your goal is to hold 100,000 Bitcoin or whatever, you wouldn't say that, right? Because it's going to make your Bitcoin that you want to acquire a lot more expensive the moment you say it, right? So that's what's crazy about this, right? There might be people who actually want Bitcoin price to be low right now, so they may be talking shit about it, so they can secretly buy up more, right? As opposed to, and then hold that and be basically in power, right? Because whoever holds 5% of the total supply of Bitcoin or 10% of the total supply of Bitcoin will be really, really powerful in the future, right?
That's what I even
I can totally imagine 150K.
Up until what point do we believe? I mean, are we okay with Saylor buying so many Bitcoins?
Yes, we are.
How much percentage of the supply does he own? Do we know?
They hold more than 500,000 Bitcoin now.
Oh my god!
Right?
Oh my god! Let's watch Ethereum just for the memes.
And that's like right now, Sailors saying that they will buy more. What? We're at 1,700?
Oh my god!
That escalated
Why
quickly.
is this a meme? Oh my god!
I mean, ETH is really lagging behind Bitcoin right now, right? So
I don't even know what is this.
what are you doing?
I was just taking a look. Like, I don't even know what is Ethereum. Oh my god, Solana 4%. That's tasty.
Prince Paradox wants ETH to go to 100K, then buy Lambos for everyone in chat. Not or lambs. I don't know, but I don't know whether you mean actual lambs or Lambos.
We still have a 50% to go for all-time high Solana. Do you think Solana will reach a new all-time high?
Yes. Solana always exaggerates, right? Traditionally.
Look at this, like the previous run. What is this?
It was crazy. But
That's
then
89% within how many days? July to September, within less than 2 months.
But look at Wax back then.
Let's see.
2.456 cents.
Was July 21?
Why is there nothing before that?
That's interesting.
To say the least.
Well, Wax also had a cool run. Then it lost its legs. It's
so sad. It's just so
Yeah.
sad how that's been going down and down and down.
We have lower highs and higher lows.
Lower highs, yeah. So
Any other token you want to watch? Guys,
all of the so let's have a look at Paul.
which one?
Because you're such a big fan of Polygon. Let's look at Polygon.
No, I don't want to.
This is sad. This is really sad. I remember when we launched Wombat on Polygon in 22.
Oh my god. Well, it's not that bad. You know, like
no, because this is just a chart for Paul. If you use the chart for Matic, it will look dramatic. Or IMX. IMX is looking horrible as well.
Oh, it has been removed. IMX.
I mean, we're back to 55 cents, which is pretty amazing looking from last week's perspective. But we're at like what?
To be honest,
$3?
IMX is not that bad.
It's
If I'm
actually
being honest.
It's actually pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen worse. For example, Wax.
Oh
like,
yeah.
you could have seen Wax going all the way down and staying all down. IMX had its moments. It seems that it had its moments. That's true.
Yeah, early last year was really good, right? We hit like what, $3.50, $4 or something.
You know this one? Wormhole. This one is doing terrible. But terrible.
Yeah.
Like, take a look at this.
So before we look at the Wombat token, let's do a quick one. Let's do a quick one on Block. Do you know Block?
What is Block?
Block Games or
Block Games, okay.
Block Network or whatever it's called. Block Protocol.
Block Asset, this one?
Yeah. No, Block. No, hang on. Not this one. Sorry, the other Block. The Block Protocol. Formerly called.
Isn't this one the one that was engagement farming all the? I cannot even put trading view.
Yeah, it's normal.
Oh shit.
So this went from what? I can see that it's too small.
99%. I mean, minus 99%.
Yeah. So what was the top? What was the all-time high?
All-time high should be over here. All-time high 0.78.
What? 78 cents.
Yes.
Okay.
And right now, all-time low 0.0016.
So we're close to all-time low, obviously. So yeah, now we can look at Wombat because now we're not going to look that bad.
Yes. Let's take a look at Pirate Nation first. This is actually a token I think that it should be performing better, considering all the funding that they have.
Everything should be doing better considering the funding that they have.
Like this is backed by some of the like look where it is listed, and not even with that, they're performing good.
Yeah, it's not that bad for a Web3 gaming project, right?
What do we? Oh, 1 minute. No, we cannot put the trading view.
No, it's okay.
What do you think? What are the lessons learned from this?
Where do I start? So you can see we had two bumps, right? One at the beginning where we went from we launched at 60 million, so 0.006, and we went to 1.2 cents a peak, I believe, 1.2, depending on where you look, right? So, and then we went down. Originally, the plan was, because we launched in the bear market, right? We launched at the very beginning of the bear market in late July 2022. We wanted to tightly control the supply, and that worked out for a week until there was one partner who started dumping a lot of tokens and basically extracting, right? This was bad. So this basically drove the price down to 60 million, right? So that was bad, and that was the beginning of this first slump, which was, yeah, we were being a little naive, and they were lying. So that was bad. And then we stabilized for a pretty long time. We stabilized quite nicely, and you could see that throughout, especially 2023, the token was mostly stable, mostly driven by, well, the people in the community, right? Basically buying tokens, staking them, yada yada yada, all these things. And then we had this massive spike in late 2023 because we signed up with a bunch of KOLs, investors, and so on, who started talking about Wombat and how amazing Wombat is, and this fell into this era of a lot of these projects launching, essentially like Portal, Block Games, a lot of Web3 gaming tokens, essentially. So there was a lot of hype around Web3 gaming, right? And so this was this double hump there in. And then we couldn't sustain that, just like everybody else couldn't sustain that, right? There was good times. Yes, in retrospect, it was very good times. We didn't leverage this enough, right? We should have leveraged this more. And in retrospect, yeah, you know what the people who were supporting us were looking for, right? But for us, that was new, and it was the first time that we actually engaged with KOLs like that, right? In this way. So that is something that we learned from. So we know now how to do that, right? And who to work with and who not, and which ways, right, to apply there. So I think there is a lot of learnings regarding managing liquidity, market making, communications, KOLs, marketing, and so on. So a lot of learnings, hundreds of learnings. Make Spielworks great again.
Okay, it was nice taking a look at the charts. Solana must flip by BNB. It must.
Well, if you're talking about must flip, then everything should probably flip XRP.
Oh my god, how is B top 26? Like what?
Pi, you mean?
P. Sorry.
Yeah.
Pi
is crazy. It's crazy that it's holding up so well. 64 cents. Pretty good job.
This token is amazing. B-Chain, what is going on with B-Chain? How is B-Chain 44?
VeChain, yeah, I don't know.
Arbitrum. Well, Arbitrum, I can tell why it is so high, but EOS 66.
You know what is amazing? WASD. Yeah, well, the thing is, and we need to, I guess there's still something that we need to correct around WASD, right? Because people still think that we acquired the WASD company and the WASD token and the WASD whatever. But what we did, what the type of deal that we did with WASD was an asset deal, right? So what we acquired was the software, also the users, the running app, like a bunch of things, the brand, a bunch of things, right? But we did not acquire the company, right? So also we didn't have any liabilities. All that we wanted, we wanted this, not that we had to, but we wanted to make things happen with WASD, with the WAS token, right? We are holding a small portion because we acquired the remaining treasury from the WASD company. It was not a lot, right? And that kind of is where the problem started, is that we didn't have enough tokens for it to be worth it for us to actually, or even manageable for us to actually go places with this, right? Like, for instance, provide enough liquidity, or even simple things like that, right? So that's also when we wanted to buy back some WAS, just to show some faith that this is an asset that we believe in, right? And that this is where we want to go. But this hasn't paid off. So
let's hope for better times ahead.
Yeah, and that's when we decided that we don't want to clinch on to the WAS token all by itself, but we would basically try and have a token that replaces both tokens and get rid of this 2-token thing. Yeah, I mean, this is in a way. I don't want to kind of talk about it easily, right? This is horrible, and we're sorry for this. That this is right now. Right now, it looks like this hasn't been worth it. But in a way, this has been the reality for a lot of investments in like Web3 gaming as well, right? And this was something that we couldn't. Yeah, that we made a mistake in. And not communicating clearly enough. Look at all of Web3 gaming, right? This has been doing horribly, and in 2024 specifically. So unfortunately, Wombat and WAS were also affected by this.
Don't tell me about that. Oh my god.
Well, a lot of things, right?
I was talking about the uplift.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, there's just so many things that just didn't go as planned, or that were rugged, or that I mean, we just looked at block games, right? People bought in on block games at what, 400-500 million valuation, right? Because they thought it's a big thing, and a lot of the things that people thought would be big things were not big things. So we are really we're still here and fighting, right? And basically working on it and making things go better, right? So and you're right. People bought into Wombat as well at much higher prices, right? So originally, when you bought your 200,000 Wombat for VIP level 5, you might have paid a lot of money, right? Or if you did it originally, you did.
I mean, one thing that I've learned during these cycles is that, and that if you guys want to learn, it will make you a better trader. First, don't get too in love with your packs. Like, always have a plan on when to enter, when to exit. Even if you love them, even if you have the biggest conviction, you must have a plan. Because if you don't have a plan, it's when you round trip stuff, you don't plan stuff ahead, and it's usually bad for you.
Like I mostly do when I put money in things. Right?
Yeah.
So I still hold a lot of my Steam and Hive from back in the day. Right. So I've been round tripping that up and down a few times. But I don't know what to do.
That's good. Yeah, I don't even know what to do with some of the stuff I have, but yeah, I mean, and when you buy something, you're buying something at that price, because at that moment, at that snapshot in time, it was worth that kind of money. Then time can go by, and then stuff can be worth more or less, but then it is up to you to buy at that exact moment, you know?
I like define the dollars plan. My plan, step 1, play games. Step 2, step 3, get rich. Yeah. It's
usually if you have a plan, you're not going to get hurt. Like, I know when to enter, when to exit, and when to sell if things don't go out as planned.
My son just came in, looked at me, that I have headphones on, so he knows I'm busy, and he's like, not even saying anything, just this super disappointed face.
Like, have you seen the meme of "Are you winning, son"?
No.
Are you winning that? Let me show you. I have to educate people in this company with Gen Z stuff.
Launch rug, go to Bahamas. This always sounds so easy. I don't know why I'm not capable of launching stuff and rugging.
This one. Show the meme live. Of course, I'm going to show it live. Are you winning that? Son, pack up your stuff. I just lost the house.
Yeah, so true.
Let's hope you don't have to say that to your son.
Ask your son what Legos said I should buy to invest in. Don't invest in Legos. It's not an investment, right? I'm always thinking about, oh, this is a really cool set. We should have a spare that's kind of originally packed and so on. Maybe this is going to go somewhere. No, it won't. There's like most of the sets aren't going anywhere as an investment. You would have to wait like really, really long. So there is this one set that I know I used to have as a kid, which probably was like 50 euros back then. And now you can buy it if it's somewhat new for like 500, right? But yes, this was 35 years or so, right? And it was the early days of these cool train sets, electrified train sets. So don't buy Legos as an investment.
Everyone be like, pack up, guys. I just sold the house for 10 Bitcoin.
Solid
profit.
Vince, to clarify this a bit more, is Wasdor going to be part of the migration to Play? I don't see how it can't be done without having the right amount of share of the company. I don't know what you mean with right amount of share in the company.
It's what you said that you didn't hold enough Wasdor
tokens. Yes, but that's got nothing to do with the shares in the company, right? Because we don't hold any shares in the Wasdor company. But
it's because sometimes people think that holding tokens gives you a share or makes you a direct investor in the company. Maybe because of it.
Yes, and sometimes people say that technically that's not true, right? If you hold Wombat or WAS tokens, you're not, or whatever token, you're not an investor in the company, right? Obviously, it might feel like this, and we also actually like it's good, right? It's because it creates a common sense of what we want to achieve, right? So it incentivizes, it shares, no, how do you say, it aligns incentives. And that's why you want tokens. Tokens are great for that, right? It's just that in order to align incentives, you should all hold an appropriate amount of this asset. Exactly. I own your token, I own you. No, that's not how it works. Except if I actually do set up my thing on time.fun, then you can own me for a few minutes by paying my token.
So whenever play launches, Adrian will go bald.
Go bald.
Yes.
I am bald, pretty much, especially on camera. I think
So
in the mirror,
you
I
will
don't
shave
look
live.
been there, done that. Can do that, sure. No, let's not do this. Let's say if play goes to whatever, let's say a certain price.
Okay, if play
the next
reaches
$1.
Let's talk about market cap.
Let's talk about fully diluted valuation.
So if it reaches if it reaches, let's say 100 million, I'll go bald.
Yeah,
on
me
stream.
too. On stream.
On stream.
Okay, cool. So, but anyway, coming back to Vince's question, so we still plan to incorporate WAS into that migration.
Before you take a pit stop or detour, I don't think my question was answered.
Exactly. No, that's so. I don't want to, and I generally don't want to recommend anybody to buy stuff, right? Like any token or whatever. Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily. I don't know. It's hard. I shouldn't. I probably shouldn't be saying this at all. So anyway, Wombat and WAS. Wombat and WAS will be part of this migration thing, right? So WAS as well.
I think we can already start with the Twitchy types while we answer the final questions.
What was this? I don't know. Okay.
Is there any dip left after this dip? We're in the dip inside of the dip. We're dipping.
Are we dipping? Oh yeah, Bitcoin is coming back to. It's always funny, right? When you saw 91,400, then 90,800 looked like, oh my God, we're down. But we're up so much from yesterday.
No, the chart I did with the chat is gone. It's your fault. Now I have to do it again.
You have to do what again?
The chart that I was doing for Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's wrong. Okay. Yeah, we can.
No. So, for example, if we will have done a short, then we will be in profit right now.
Why didn't you?
I was on stream.
I guess there's people who live short stuff. We all look. I haven't even shared the screen, and there's already 17 people who signed up for this. Exclamation mark play with the AI to join.
Jinx Stellar Guardian is pretty solid. It's a very good skin.
What is a Jinx skin?
For League of Legends.
Oh yeah, sure.
You can have skins for your characters.
Of course you can.
I have to go, guys. Lurk and we chat later. For sure, man. I have to talk with Adrian. I already talked with you a little bit about what Mr. LT was asking if it was possible.
It's possible.
It's possible. That's the answer. We just need to sort out the details, I guess.
Not a lot that needs to be done on our end. But yeah.
Do you play League of Legends, guys?
You know the answer from me, right? You know my answer to this?
You're boring.
Yes, I am. I have 2 kids, So all I get to play is a little bit of Rocket League every once in a while, or Minecraft, which is pretty good already. I'm getting there.
Santiago, I missed the first few minutes of this stream. What is the plan for the Easter eggs? For this excess Easter eggs. We are going to announce it accordingly. We are not forgetting about the eggs. This is also to answer Chinese. I just realized we didn't reply to it. But we're looking for another use case for them. Don't worry, the eggs won't be forgotten. We know that there is a surplus of 3K eggs.
Should we open up the shop for them again and sell more so that it's worth actually doing something with them?
That's a good one, but it's not Easter anymore.
That's true. Open the shop.
Overall, I'm pretty happy with the shop. It handled 10K transactions within one day. No assets were lost. Resources were removed, were burned. We burned 1 million wombat. At least 100 million coal has been burned. It was a good day.
100 million coal is a lot.
Yes. You closed the shop before Easter end. Yeah, because right now we have 3K eggs that are on the wild. If I left it open, it would have been like 6K eggs, 8K eggs. Because
you would have had the same problem. Because now people are asking what's happening to the excess eggs.
No, because I can handle 3K, but if you will have been 6K, then
what's the difference? What's the difference? What's the difference between coming up with an idea for 3K eggs as opposed to 6K eggs? I don't know. I don't get it.
It will be using the Overlord plans. I was thinking about opening the eggs for the Overlords, but then we also released a lot of pack fragments with the X plan, so not really.
But fragments have been up in price recently.
Sorry?
Last I checked. Fragments have been up in price.
True.
They're like half a wax. Yeah, 0.5 wax. It's pretty decent for a pack fragment.
Egg wombation entity. Let's petrify the eggs.
People are expecting the Overlord blend with fragments, that's why.
It will be with fragments.
Oh, you're spoiling the surprise already?
Yeah, it was... Or not. Huh. I just fixed it. Ossify. What is Ossify?
Okay, let's start this.
Petrify, not ossify.
Okay, we're going with 38 people. We can't even make 42 happen, but it's not a Monday, it's a Tuesday, so that's fine, I guess. So let's start. Top five players and the top wombat. Is there any wombat in here, actually? Pay attention.
Oof.
Yes.
Choco Crypto got delayed.
A lot
of
at
players.
least Pedro.
Dungeon Master.
Pedro is playing with a wombat.
Oh, nice. Oh, Basking is here. Hey, man. Cherry's also there, standing alone, watching the horizon, reflecting on his actions. And he started moving in the right time. That's good.
Oh, what's this? So
I'm rooting for Chur.
Chur, oh, okay, Chur still
Apotheosis is huge.
Even the font was bigger, right?
He just died. Okay, Chur, you got this.
Chur made it in top 5 at least, together with Janice.
Yes.
That's a nice skin as well. This little dragon.
What is he doing?
What is
he doing? Oh no! Oh my god! He's dodging everything like a pro. No, he's going to die.
Janice hit the crab, but
nice,
that was really exciting here.
Yeah,
So
that was a
Chur,
good one. I like when it is
Janus,
slower. You can actually get to see what is going on.
yeah. And it actually didn't take that much time. Sometimes when you have like 100 players, it's maybe a bit worse, but this was actually pretty good. So GG's here to Chur, Sugar Queen Janice, Connie, Mike Bong, Yannicus, and I'm not sure if there was anybody else with a. So it's Shinpaichi. Here, was there anybody else with a wombat skin? Nope. Anyway. Okay.
Congrats. First time in the top 5. Nice.
That was who?
For Sugar Queen Janice.
Oh. So congrats. If you just play enough, you will end up in the top 5 at some point.
Press key.
Oh, we need to talk to the Twitchy Tides people. So because the pooping isn't working. That's too bad.
Charisse is still playing. Freeze.
All right. So before we leave, what's everyone's prediction where Bitcoin is going to go this week?
Bitcoin
72, 95, 83, 200K, 98. This week, wow. 98 would be pretty amazing.
97 will be cool. I will be happy with 97.
Wow, there's a lot of division here, right? Dustin Eddy saying 80K. Your village people is saying back to 85 by Friday. Define the Dollar is saying 105. Retest the top. Sugar Crypto is saying 90 to 92K this week minimum. I would say we're there. Crypto Infinity is saying 98. Santiago, what you think?
I think 97 will be great. I mean,
Not,
you can really know
not what would be great, but what's gonna happen?
I cannot. I don't know what Trump is going to do this week. So I don't really know. If Trump does nothing, then 97. If Trump opens his mouth, then it could be up to 150K or 0.
Yeah, so something between Forest Layers 80 and I take off my pants and jackets 115, right?
Nah, dude, why are you so negative? Why is that? USD. What is happening with UR?
115, at least.
Oh no.
Last I checked.
That's
true. It's whenever the dollar is weak, Bitcoin price goes up. Right.
I don't like this. I don't like the euro being strong.
Imagine the most self-serving thing you can, multiply by 10, add 1. That's what will happen. Wow. Bitcoin at 3,000,001.
USD, Japanese yen.
Yeah, that's why if you're saying you don't like when the euro is strong, the euro isn't strong. It's just the dollar that's weak.
I don't like it because I pay my master in euros. So whenever I have to pay,
and you make
I
your money in
dollars.
USD, yeah.
So I need the euro to be low.
Yeah, I mean,
it's because of personal convenience. I don't have anything against the euro. It's just that I will prefer it to be slow for me to pay less.
Where's gold now? Kevin Kev says it's all about the gold. Gold over or under 3.5? It's under 3.5. So gold is doing bad, but Bitcoin is doing well. It's a crazy world. Shout out to SQJ, Genesis.
Gold to
token.
4K. Do you think this is possible?
Yes, I've heard a commentary yesterday where they were literally saying this, that they see gold go into 4K either this year or even by summer. And I totally like it. Really depends on what's going to happen, especially with trade wars and Trump and Jerome Powell and these kinds of things. But right now there's a lot of uncertainty, and that's why gold's going up. And the Chinese are buying gold like crazy.
So, how do you think the market will behave if Jerome Powell is removed?
The market is going to go. I mean, gold is going to go up. Stocks are going to go down like crazy.
If Jerome Powell is removed?
Yes, because that's unprecedented for the U.S. Right? That happened in Turkey, right? And you saw what did to the Turkish lira afterwards, right? Because it's not a good sign if the Federal Reserve is like for most investors from the outside, right? It's not a good sign if the Federal Reserve is not independent. It's political. Because it's not supposed to be political. It's supposed to be independent, right?
But Trump cannot remove Powell, or is he able to do that?
Legally, no. Legally, it's not possible for the president to remove the chairman of the Fed. But there's a few things that legally shouldn't have happened recently, right? So
Atkins is the chair of the SEC. That's good.
104 gold to silver ratio is crazy. Silver way undervalued. I don't know. It is crazy, but nobody buys silver nowadays, right? Everybody's buying gold, so I would say it's probably you'll see probably even higher than that. It's crazy.
I cannot highlight that comment define, but could be.
SQJ is on the up and up in the last week or so. I haven't looked at SQJ in a while, but definitely everybody should check out the SQJ token. I think it's even available for swapping on inside the Wombat app. Palladium to the moon.
Have we ever have like an initiative of adopt a Wombat? Like we get to partner with an organization and we get to adopt some Wombats?
We once had a little auction, actually. I think for Wombat's first birthday.
Wait, you sold a Wombat? No,
yes, we were selling baby wombats to everybody on auction and shipping them in containers. No, of course not. We were doing a little auction because we had I think we had an art contest, and then people could buy the NFTs that was together with Pix.eos back then, which was fun. And then the proceeds went into a wombat shelter in Australia.
That's nice. That's awesome. We should have a Wombat with a name and make it our pet. We could call him.
Yeah, what would you call a wombat if we had a wombat mascot?
Yes, that's a nice question for the people. Mascot. Wombat. Bags. Wombi. Wombi sounds nice, but it could resemble one of them not.
Of course.
Call him Matt.
After the Australian wildfires, I think there's always wildfires, but yes, there were wildfires that year. Pretty bad wildfires.
Naming him back sounds interesting. People got what they wanted. They wanted the Twitchy tights, and now they left.
Back's the wombat.
Oh, there's a picture of Matt being a wombat, right? Of a wombat with Matt's face.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. But I actually like Pump.
Pompey.
Does when bag shits is she shitting bags or bricks or blocks?
Pump.
Blocky.
Pump. Blocky.
I think it's actually about time to ask about the raid. Who are we raiding?
Who shall we raid? I was closing some windows and then I saw Fanesca and I was like, what is this doing here?
You saw what?
I saw the soup I told you about. Yes, we
Oh,
will
I-
have a use case Sugar Queen Janice. Just wait for our announcement. Don't burn the 60x you have yet.
Or sent them to a wombat shelter. By the way, I didn't mention this, but Atlas Drawers has resubscribed for 30 months, and
That's awesome.
they've been subscribed for 29 months. It's so crazy. Atlas Drawers is really crazy.
Who is
Okay.
Length?
Length. This would be somebody new. That's cool. Not that I don't like the other people who we always raid. Tsushima cleanup crew. Whatever they play, Ghost of Tsushima. So it looks pretty. Looks like a video. Can we have something for prime letters like a recycle blend to something? What do you want to recycle them for? Has his own food-based NFT collection. Food. I'm actually hungry. I didn't have proper lunch.
I
So
haven't
yeah,
yet. True.
let's rate Len PH then. And I have no idea what Ghost of Tsushima is. Is that a? That's not a blockchain game, right? It looks too good for a blockchain game.
Which one?
Ghost of Tsushima.
No.
PS5 game. I don't have a PS5, so stuff that I don't know.
Oh, what did I just do?
Get lots of unused letters. Sell them or cycle them. Right? You just need confettis to cycle them. All right, then let's raid Len PH. Have fun. Say hello.
What is going on? Okay. My PC is banging.
Might be what?
My PC was having a visual bug. A 1,000 Woofy. We have to rework the Woofy blend, actually.
Yeah, Woofy price isn't that good, so we need to do something with ideas for what we should do with Woofy and Woofy Wombations and so on are welcome. Next stream. Okay.
Thank you so much, Legends. I love you.
Thanks a lot. Say hello to Len, and see you next week. And thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.
See ya. Happy Easter. Happy Christmas, Hanukkah.
It's not the right time. We're also out.